What would you do if love came to you when you were not looking for it? Would you trust it, or would you be afraid to believe in it? This is my story, and I want to share it with you. My name is Sarah. I am 28 years old. I work in a small factory in the city. The factory makes simple plastic parts. My job is not very special. I stand by a table and pack the items into boxes. I start at 8 in the morning and finish at 5 in the evening. Every day feels the same. Before I go deeper into my story, please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video if you enjoy listening. It helps me bring you more stories. Thank you. Life in the factory was simple but also quiet. I was not close with many people there. Most workers came, did their job, and went home. During breaks, some sat together and laughed, but I often sat alone with my tea. I did not mind, but sometimes I felt lonely. I told myself that good things take time. Then one day, something changed. The old factory manager retired. A new manager came. His name was Peter. He was 35 years old. He was tall and wore glasses. He did not look very strict. When he came to the factory floor for the first time, he smiled at all of us. "Good morning," he said in a calm voice. He walked to each worker, shook hands, and introduced himself. When he came to me, he smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Peter. I am happy to work here." I smiled back and said, "Hello, I am Sarah." For some reason, my face felt warm. From that moment, I knew he was not like other managers I had seen before. Peter was kind. He asked questions about our work. He listened to our answers. He even helped to lift heavy boxes during lunch breaks. No other manager had ever done that. The other workers were surprised too. As weeks passed, I started to enjoy my work more. I looked forward to the mornings because I knew Peter would greet me. Every day he said, "Good morning, Sarah." And every day I smiled. It felt nice. It felt simple. We started to talk a little during the short breaks. We talked about the weather, the food in the cafeteria, and sometimes about books. He told me he liked reading in the evenings. I told him I liked walking in the park near my house. He laughed at my small jokes, and I laughed at his too. Still, I tried not to hope too much. Maybe he was just being kind. Maybe he was the same with everyone. I did not want to dream. One afternoon, the machine near my table stopped working. I felt nervous because I did not know how to fix it. Peter walked over. He bent down, checked the machine, and pressed a few buttons. The machine started again. He looked at me with a smile. "Don't worry, Sarah. Machines stop sometimes. It's not your fault." I felt my heart beat faster. I whispered, "Thank you." He only smiled again and walked away. That evening, when I walked home, I thought about his calm voice. A few days later, Peter came to me during lunch. He asked, "Would you like to eat together today?" I was surprised. No manager had ever asked me that before. I said yes. We sat at a small table in the corner of the cafeteria. We didn't talk about work. We talked about our lives. He told me that he moved to this city last month. He said he was not married. When I heard the word single, I felt something inside me. I tried to hide my smile. From that day, our connection grew slowly. Sometimes after work, he waited at the gate and we walked together for a short time. He asked me about my family, my childhood, my favorite music. He listened carefully. I liked that. One Friday evening, it started to rain when work finished. I had no umbrella. I stood under the roof, waiting. Peter came out of the building, holding an umbrella. He looked at me and said, "Come, we can share." We walked close under his umbrella. The sound of the rain was all around us. "I like walking with you," he said softly. I felt shy but answered, "I like it too." That night, when I lay in bed, I thought about the moment under the umbrella. My face was still warm. I felt happy, but also afraid. Was this real? Or was I only imagining something that was not there? The next week, Peter asked, "Would you like to visit the city park on Saturday?" I was quiet for a moment, then smiled. Yes, I would. Saturday came. The park was full of green trees and small paths. We walked slowly and talked about many things. We laughed. I forgot about work and time. At one point, he stopped and looked at me. "Sarah, I enjoy being with you." I felt my heart beat again, but this time I did not hide it. "Me too," I said. He walked me home in the evening. He did not rush. He did not make me feel uncomfortable. At the door of my small flat, he only said, "I hope we can do this again." I smiled and said, "Yes, we can." That night, I could not sleep. My mind was full of his words, his smile, and the way he looked at me. For the first time in many years, I felt a new hope. The days after that Saturday in the park felt different. Work was the same, but my heart was not. Every morning when I walked into the factory, I felt a small joy. I knew I would see Peter. I tried to act normal, but inside, I waited for his smile and his, "Good morning, Sarah." One Monday morning, I arrived earlier than usual. I stood outside with my tea. The sun was not high yet. The air was cool. Suddenly, I heard his voice. "You start early today," he said. I turned and saw him standing there, holding his own cup. "Yes," I answered. "I could not sleep well last night, so I came early." He looked at me for a moment and said softly, "Sometimes I cannot sleep either. My mind does not rest." His words made me feel close to him. Even though he was my manager, he was also just a man, with the same feelings as me. From then, we often met before work. We stood outside with our tea or coffee, talking quietly. It became our little habit, something only the two of us shared. But not everything was easy. Some workers started to look at us differently. When Peter came to my table to ask about the work, I felt their eyes on us. Once, during lunch, I heard two women whispering. One said, "Look at her. She is always with the manager." The other replied, "Yes, maybe she wants something from him." My face became hot. I looked down at my food and tried to act like I did not hear. But inside, I felt hurt. I did not want people to think I was trying to get special things. I only wanted to be seen as myself, not as someone using him. That evening, I walked home with heavy steps. Peter noticed. "You look quiet today," he said. I took a deep breath. "Some workers. They talk. They think I am close to you for the wrong reasons." Peter stopped walking. He looked serious. Sarah, listen. People will always talk. We cannot control them. But I know you. I see your heart. You do your job well. You are kind. That is all that matters. His words calmed me. Still, I worried. I had never been in this kind of situation before. One Saturday, he asked me again, "Would you like to go to the museum with me?" I had never been to that museum. I said yes. The building was big and quiet inside. We walked slowly, looking at old machines and tools. He explained some things to me. I listened and laughed when he joked. At one moment, I stood in front of a painting. It showed a small house near a river. I stared at it for a long time. "You like it?" he asked. "Yes," I whispered. "It feels peaceful." He looked at me and smiled. "Like you." I felt shy and looked away. But inside, my heart warmed. After the museum, we sat in a small cafe near the street. We drank tea and ate simple food. He asked me many questions. "What was your dream when you were a child?" I smiled. I wanted to be a teacher, but life was different. I needed money, so I started work early. He listened carefully. "I see. You are strong. You take life as it comes." I looked at him. "And you? What was your dream?" He smiled. "I wanted to travel. I thought I would see many countries, but my life became work, study, and now this factory. Still, maybe one day I will see more." That afternoon, I learned something important. He was not only my manager. He was a man with his own past, his own dreams, his own regrets. After that day, we met more often. Sometimes in the park, sometimes at small food places, sometimes just walking after work. He always asked about me, and he always remembered what I said. Once I told him that I liked blue flowers. The next week, he gave me a small blue flower in a glass bottle. He placed it on my table and said, "For your corner." My eyes filled with tears, but happy ones. Still, I was afraid. I asked myself many times, is this real? Or will it end quickly? One evening we walked near the river. The water moved slowly. Lights from houses shone on the surface. He looked at me and said softly, "Sarah, may I hold your hand?" I froze for a moment. My mind was full of fear and hope together. Then I put my hand in his. His hand was warm and gentle. "I wanted to do this for a long time," he said. I smiled, and my voice was low. "Me too." That night, when I went to bed, I could not sleep. I stared at the ceiling and thought about his hand in mine. For the first time in many years, I felt safe. But life is not always so simple. The gossip at work grew louder. Some people smiled at me with false faces. Some whispered when I passed. I felt it every day. One afternoon, I went to the bathroom and cried quietly. I did not want him to see my tears. Later that week, he noticed I was quiet again. "Sarah," he said gently, "please tell me if something is wrong." I shook my head, but he touched my arm lightly. "I see it. You cannot hide." I looked into his eyes. "I feel ashamed. People do not respect me now. They think I want something from you." Peter's face grew serious. "Sarah, I will speak to them." "No," I said quickly. "That will only make it worse. Please, let it go. I will be fine." He sighed, then said, "I do not want you to suffer because of me, but I will respect your wish." Even though I tried to be strong, inside, I was afraid. Afraid that the gossip might break us apart. Afraid that he would one day think it was too hard. Then something happened that changed my view. One day, during a team meeting, Peter spoke in front of everyone. He talked about the factory, about our work, about the future. Then he said, "I also want to thank Sarah, not only for her work, but for her kindness and the way she makes this place better." Everyone clapped. My face turned red, but my heart felt light. For the first time, I was not afraid. He saw me, and he was not hiding it. After the meeting, I said to him quietly, "Why did you say that in front of everyone?" He looked at me. "Because it is true. And because I want the world to know that you are important." I had no words, only tears in my eyes. The weeks turned into months. Our bond grew stronger. We took things slowly, but each step felt real. He met my parents one Sunday afternoon. My mother whispered to me later, "He is a good man." My father looked at him with respect. I felt proud. I felt safe. Still, deep inside, I asked myself, where is this going? Will it last? Or will it end like a dream? One Sunday morning, he asked if we could walk in the park again. The sun was warm. Birds sang in the trees. We walked slowly, hand in hand. Then he stopped and looked at me with serious eyes. "Sarah," he said, "I know we met in a factory, a simple place. But for me, you are not simple. You are the most important part of my life. I feel lucky to have met you. I want to ask you something, but I am afraid too." My heart raced. I looked at him, waiting. He took a deep breath. "Sarah, will you share your life with me?" I felt tears run down my face. My voice shook. "Yes," I whispered. Then louder, "Yes, Peter, I will." He smiled, held me close, and for the first time in many years, I believed. Believed in love that was not painful, not heavy, but gentle and true. After that Sunday in the park, life felt brighter. I woke up each morning with a smile. I still went to the factory, still packed boxes, still drank tea during breaks, but now everything felt different. Because now, I had Peter beside me. He was not only my manager, he was my partner. He was my friend. He was my love. At first, we kept things quiet outside the factory. But people knew. They had already guessed, and after he asked me to share my life with him, we did not hide anymore. Some workers accepted it with smiles. Some did not. I heard whispers, but I was stronger now. Their words could not break me anymore, because Peter showed me every day that his love was real. One evening, after work, he walked me home as usual. We stopped at the small shop near my flat. He bought bread and fruit. When we sat down to eat, he said, "Sarah, we must talk about our future. Where do you see yourself in the next year?" His question surprised me. I had never thought far ahead. My life had always been about today, about making enough to live, about small steps. I looked at him and said honestly, "I only know I want to be with you." He smiled. "That is enough for me too." Still, the days were not always perfect. My parents worried. One Sunday, my mother said, "Sarah, are you sure? He is your manager. What if one day he changes?" Her words stayed in my mind. I knew she only wanted to protect me, but I felt afraid again. What if things did change? What if he woke up one morning and decided he did not love me anymore? That night, I could not sleep. I turned in bed and thought of every fear I had. In the morning, I was quiet. Peter noticed. "What is wrong?" he asked gently. "My mother worries," I whispered. "She says maybe one day you will change." Peter took my hand and held it firmly. "Sarah, people change, yes, but love does not have to fade. We build it every day. We care for it like a garden. I cannot promise tomorrow will be easy, but I can promise you I will always respect you and stand with you." His words calmed me. I realized that real love was not about perfect promises. It was about daily choices, small acts, and respect. Weeks passed. Our bond grew. He often visited my parents. My father grew to like him more each time. My mother watched him closely, but even she started to smile more when he came. One Friday, something happened at the factory. A machine broke, and the work stopped. Some workers grew angry. They shouted at Peter, saying he was not managing well. I watched him stand calm and patient. He explained the plan, he spoke kindly, and he never raised his voice. Later, when we walked home, I said, "How can you stay so calm when people are angry?" He smiled a little. "Because anger passes, but words stay. I do not want to use words that hurt. I want to use words that heal." In that moment, I understood why I loved him. He was strong, not in force, but in patience. One Sunday morning, we went again to the park. The air was cool, the trees were green. We sat on a bench and watched children play. Peter looked at me with soft eyes. "Sarah, I think it is time we plan our life together. I want us to live in one home." My heart raced. "You mean?" He smiled. "Yes. Let us find a small place together, a home that is ours." Tears filled my eyes. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I want that too." From that day, we started looking for a small flat. We did not need anything big. Only 2 rooms, a kitchen, and light from the windows. After some weeks, we found it. It was simple, but when I stood inside, I felt warm. "This is it," I said. Peter smiled. Our first home. The day we moved in, I placed my few clothes in the cupboard. He placed his books on a small shelf. We laughed at how empty the rooms looked. But I felt full inside. For the first time, I had a place that was not only mine, it was ours. Life together was not always easy. Sometimes we disagreed about small things. He liked to read at night. I liked to sleep early. He liked tea. I liked coffee. But every time we had a difference, we talked, we listened, we laughed, and that was enough. The factory still gave me long days, but when I came home and saw him waiting, I felt peace. He often cooked simple food, and we sat at the table together. We talked about work, about dreams, about nothing special, but every word felt special because it was shared. Months passed. One evening, he came home with a small box. My heart jumped. He opened it. Inside was a simple ring. He looked at me with a gentle smile. "Sarah," he said, "I do not want just to share a home with you. I want to share all of life with you. Will you marry me?" My eyes filled with tears again. I remembered the lonely days in the factory, the quiet tea breaks, the gossip, the doubts. And now, here I was, with this man, holding out his heart to me. "Yes," I whispered. "Yes, I will." He placed the ring on my finger and held me close. I felt safe. I felt seen. I felt loved. Now, when I look back, I see how love came when I least expected it. It did not come with loud promises. It came with small acts of kindness. A smile in the morning, a hand under the umbrella, a flower in a bottle. And now, I wake up each day beside him. I still go to the factory, but life is not the same. My life is warmer, brighter, fuller. Because I learned that true love is not about perfect words. It is about respect, patience, and care. So, dear friends, thank you for listening to my story. If you are waiting for love, please do not give up. Love may come when you do not expect it. And when it is real, it does not hurt. It gives peace. It gives strength. And it feels like home. My name is Lara. I am 29 years old. I live in a small flat in Berlin, Germany. I do not have many friends. I do not have a big family. Most days, I am alone. Some people like being alone. I do not. It makes my mind loud. Sometimes I think too much. Sometimes I feel too much. That is where my story begins. I was not always like this. I used to laugh more. I used to smile more. But something changed inside me. I started to get angry very fast. When people spoke to me in the wrong way, I felt heat in my face. When they ignored me, I felt like I was not real. I did not stop to think. I just reacted. I spoke fast. I shouted. I walked away. At first, I thought it was normal. I thought I was just strong. But I was not strong. I was breaking things without knowing it. It started with small things. One day, I was at a cafe. A woman behind me touched my arm by mistake. I turned and said, "Watch it." She looked at me with sad eyes. She said, "I'm sorry." But I didn't say anything back. I just walked away. I felt bad later, but I told myself it didn't matter. Then it started to happen at home. My neighbor played music one night. It was not very loud, but I was tired. I went to his door and shouted. He said, "Okay, sorry." But he looked afraid. I saw fear in his eyes. That made me stop. I went back to my flat and sat down. I asked myself, why do I act like this? But I didn't know the answer. The biggest change happened 1 year ago. I was close to my younger cousin. Her name is Rena. She was sweet and always kind. She helped me with small things. She called me often. She sent me food when I was sick. I loved her. But one day, she made a small joke. We were eating lunch. I was talking about a man I liked. She laughed and said, "You always fall too fast." Everyone at the table laughed. I didn't. I stood up and said, "You think you are better than me?" Her face changed. I said more things. Mean things. Things I did not mean. The room went quiet. Rena looked down. Then she left. I waited for her to call me. I waited for her to say sorry. But she didn't. 2 weeks passed. Then a month. I saw pictures of her with other people. I was not in her world anymore. I missed her so much. I wanted to say sorry, but I didn't know how. I had hurt her too much. And I knew it was not her fault. It was mine. I was angry. I was fast. I was loud. And now I was alone again. Time went on. I tried to forget. But the same thing happened again. This time with my friend Tia. We met at a small shop. She said hello and gave me a hug. Then she asked, "Are you okay? You look tired." I don't know why, but I felt angry. I said, "Don't tell me how I look." She was quiet. She said, "I didn't mean to upset you." I said, "I don't care." Then I left the shop without saying goodbye. Later that night, I sat on my bed and cried. I asked myself, why do I do this? I knew Tia cared about me. She did nothing wrong. But again, I broke something good. I began to feel afraid of myself. I started to keep quiet. I stopped going out. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to lose anyone else. But that made things worse. I felt lonely. I felt sad all the time. I missed the people I hurt. I missed who I used to be. I didn't know how to stop the pain inside me. I didn't know how to stop my anger before it started. One evening, I went to the park. I sat on a bench. I watched the trees move in the wind. A child ran past me. She laughed and looked at the sky. Her joy was simple. I wanted to feel that again. I wanted to feel light, but my heart was heavy. I thought about my cousin. I thought about Tia. I wanted to go back and change everything, but I couldn't. I knew one thing now. I could not keep living like this. I had to change. That night I looked in the mirror. I looked tired. My eyes looked older than my age. I touched my face and whispered, "I want peace." I meant it. I didn't want to win fights. I didn't want to be right. I just wanted to feel calm. I wanted to speak kindly. I wanted people to feel safe near me. I wanted to stop losing everything because of my anger. The next day, I made tea and sat by the window. The sun was soft. The street was quiet. I didn't turn on my phone. I didn't open the news. I just sat and breathed. I told myself, when you feel the heat, stop. When you feel the fire, wait. Don't speak. Don't move. Just pause. That was the start. It was not easy, but it was a small step. And I knew if I wanted to stop losing people, I had to stop reacting fast. I had to learn how to feel without hurting. I had to learn how to speak without shouting. I had to learn how to hold pain and not pass it to someone else. Something in me was ready now. Not for noise, not for power, but for peace. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning I woke up early. I felt quiet inside. Not happy, not sad, just still. I made tea and watched the sky. A bird sat on my window. It flew away after a few seconds. I smiled. I was ready to try again. I wanted to be better. I wanted to stop hurting people I cared about. I didn't want to feel sorry all the time. That day, I went to the small shop near my house. I saw the same woman who worked there. She smiled and said, "Good morning." I said, "Morning." Then I paused. I added, "Sorry for last time." She looked surprised. "It's okay," she said. Her voice was warm. She smiled again. I felt something new. I felt light. It was the first time I said sorry in a long time. After that, I began to practice silence. Not the cold kind, not the kind that shuts people out, but the kind that gives me space. When someone said something rude, I stayed quiet. I looked at the ground. I counted slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5 seconds, the feeling passed. The fire went down. I could think again. I didn't speak until I felt calm. One day, I saw a man at the bus stop. He looked upset. He was talking to someone on the phone. He was shouting. I stood far away. Then, by mistake, I stepped on his foot. "Watch it!" he shouted. I opened my mouth to reply, but then I closed it. I looked him in the eyes and said, "I'm sorry." That was all. Just 2 words. He looked confused. Then he looked down. He said nothing. The bus came. He got on. I didn't feel angry. I felt proud. I didn't lose control. I didn't ruin my day. Later that week, I saw Tia near the bakery. She was buying bread. I almost turned away. But something inside me said, "Stop running." So I walked up to her. She looked at me. I said, "Hi." She said, "Hi." We stood there for a moment. Then I said, "I was wrong. I was not kind to you. I'm sorry." Her eyes were soft. She said, "Thank you. That means a lot." I said, "I miss our talks." She nodded. "Me too." Then she smiled. A small one, but real. I felt like crying, but I didn't. We stood in the sun like two old friends finding a small bridge between us. Things were not perfect. Some days were still hard. I still felt angry sometimes, but I started to pause. I started to ask myself, is this moment worth it? Most of the time, the answer was no. Not every rude word needs a reply. Not every problem needs a fight. A few weeks later, something big happened. I got a message from my cousin Rena. She wrote, "Can we talk?" My hands shook. I read the message again. I said yes. We met at a small cafe. She came in wearing a blue scarf. She looked nervous. I looked nervous too. We sat down. I said, "I'm sorry." She said, "I know." Her eyes were wet. "Mine too." I said, "You were not wrong that day. I just felt small. I acted in a bad way." She held my hand. She said, "Thank you for saying that." I said, "I missed you." She smiled. "I missed you too." That day we laughed again. We walked by the river. The sun was soft. The sky was wide and clear. That night, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. I felt peace, not just outside, but inside too. I saw that I didn't lose people because I was bad. I lost them because I didn't know how to stop myself. But now, I was learning. Slowly, gently. I made a new rule for myself. If I feel angry, I will wait. If I want to shout, I will walk away. If someone is rude, I will not fight. I will stay still. I will keep my power. I will not give it away. And if I do something wrong, I will say sorry. I will say it with an open heart. One evening, I was walking home. A car stopped too close to me. The driver shouted, "Move faster!" I stopped. I looked at him. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I took a breath. I walked away. A few years ago, I would have said many bad words, but now I didn't need to. That man was angry, but I didn't need to join him. I kept my peace. I kept walking. A few days later, I was with Rena again. She said, "You seem calm now." I said, "I am, Trang." She said, "It shows." That made me happy. I never thought I could be that person. The calm one. The quiet one. The kind one. But maybe I could. I started helping my neighbor. I helped her carry her shopping bags. I watered her plants when she was away. I smiled more. I listened more. I said less. And people began to come close again. I did not feel so alone. I wrote a small sentence on paper and kept it near my door. It said, "Peace is my choice." I read it each morning. It helped me remember. Life is full of noise. People will speak badly. People will hurt us. But we can still choose peace. I started to feel strong in a new way. Not strong like shouting. Not strong like fighting. But strong like water. Soft but sure. Light but deep. People did not fear me now. They smiled when they saw me. They asked how I was. And this time I had an answer. I said, "I am okay. I am learning." One day, something happened that showed me how much I had changed. It was a Sunday. I was waiting in line at the market. A woman behind me kept pushing her cart into mine. First, I thought it was a mistake. But she did it again. I turned around. I looked at her. She looked back and said, "Why are you so slow?" Her words were sharp. Her face looked angry. I felt the old fire rise inside me. My hands felt warm. My breath changed. I wanted to say something. I wanted to fight back. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I looked down for a moment. I took a slow breath. Then I looked at her and said, "I hope your day gets better." That's all I said. Nothing more. She didn't reply. She looked confused. Then she looked away. When I walked home, I smiled to myself. A real smile. I didn't lose anything today. Not my words. Not my peace. I had kept it all. That was new for me. That was strength. Not loud, not fast, but strong and deep. Later that week, I saw a man yelling at his son outside a shop. The boy looked scared. The man kept shouting. People passed by, but no one said anything. I wanted to say, "Stop!" But I remembered my own story. I knew shouting at him would not help. So I stood nearby and waited. When the man stopped to breathe, I walked over and said softly, "It's okay to be tired. But he is still just a child." The man looked at me. His face changed. He did not speak. But he held the boy's hand and walked away. That moment stayed with me for days. I had helped in a small way, not by shouting, but by staying soft and steady. That kind of help stays longer. I also began to understand why I used to react so fast. It was not just about the people. It was about me. My anger was not new. It was old. It came from my past, from small things I never spoke about, from moments when I felt ignored, from times when I wanted love but got silence. I had never healed those parts of me, so when someone hurt me in the present, I felt all the pain from the past too. It all came together. That is why I exploded. But now I was learning to feel the pain without passing it to others. I was learning to hold it, name it, and then let it go. I also saw that not every fight needs a winner. Sometimes walking away is the best answer. Sometimes silence is louder than shouting. Some people don't want peace. They want power. But I didn't have to give them mine. I didn't have to join their storm. I could stay in my calm. One afternoon, I went to visit my aunt. She is old and wise. She gave me tea and said, "You seem different these days." I said, "I am trying to change." She smiled and said, "I can see it. You used to carry fire. Now you carry water." That sentence stayed in my heart. I didn't need to burn everything. I could cool things down. I could bring calm. Some weeks later, I got a call from a place where I used to work. It was a woman from HR. She said, "We have a new position. Would you like to come in and talk?" I was surprised. I thought they forgot about me. I said yes. The next day, I went there. I wore a simple dress. I brushed my hair slowly. I felt ready. The woman was kind. She said, "We've seen your growth online. You seem peaceful and focused now. That's what we need here." I said, "I'm still learning." She smiled. "We all are." She offered me the job. It was a better role than before. I thanked her and said I would think about it. On the way home, I walked through the park. I saw 2 girls sitting on the grass, talking and laughing. One of them looked like my cousin Rena when she was younger. I stopped and watched them. Then I looked at the sky. The clouds were soft and slow. Everything felt quiet. I said to myself, "You are not that person anymore. You are not the storm." I felt proud, not for the job offer, but for the peace I now carried inside. That evening, I called Rena. We talked for a long time. I told her about the job offer. I told her about the woman at the market. I told her about the man with the little boy. She listened to everything. Then she said, "I am so happy for you. You are really becoming yourself." I said, "Thank you for not giving up on me." She said, "Thank you for coming back." That night, I slept with a soft smile. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel heavy. I felt light, like I was floating. One Sunday, I met some friends at a small cafe. We laughed and shared stories. A man nearby was loud. He was talking badly about someone on his phone. At first, I felt tense. Then I looked at my tea. It was warm and sweet. I focused on that. I didn't listen to the man. I didn't let him take my peace. My friend said, "You didn't even look at him. A year ago, you would have said something." I said, "I choose quiet now." She smiled and said, "It suits you." I kept the new job. The people there were kind. One day, a young girl on my team made a mistake. A big one. She came to me shaking. I looked at her and said, "It's okay. Let's fix it together." She looked surprised. Then she smiled. I saw something in her eyes. Trust. She felt safe with me. That moment was worth more than any prize. I had become the kind of person I always needed in my past. Calm, soft, safe. Now when I feel pain, I pause. When I feel fear, I breathe. When I feel hurt, I wait. I ask myself, is this about now? Or something old? I answer with truth. I don't lie to myself anymore. That is how I stay free. One night I looked at my reflection. I saw a woman who had learned many things, not from books, but from life, from pain, from mistakes, from silence. I had lost people. I had lost time. But I had found something bigger. I had found peace. And peace is more than just quiet. Peace is a kind of power, the kind no one can take from you. Now, I walk slower. I speak softer. I listen more. I smile more. I still feel things, but I don't break things. I don't break people. That is the gift I gave myself. A new way to live. And if I could say one thing to my old self, the one who shouted, the one who cried, the one who lost too much, I would say this: you are not weak for staying calm. You are strong. You are free. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.